Alright, let's see here. Play on controller, which you'll probably see me do some weird stuff because of that, but I was using this until a little bit ago. Got something slightly better for my current deficiencies. The problem with this build is going to be three things: spirit, attributes, and mana. That's essentially your biggest problems that you gotta solve. So this helps with some of them, and it makes it so when I go into Thieves Torment, it's not a big problem. Um, because once, like, before I had that amulet, this would make it so some of my skills would go red, and it was a pain in the ass. Hands of Wind in action give a lot of damage. I'm not sure if this is actually the best in slot, but it does give a lot of damage, and once you start putting some more intelligence, you can really tell. I don't have a fantastic bow, it's decent. Um, I probably would want to get more dexterity on it. None of that mana or enemy hit bullshit or fire damage, but hey, it's what I got, and I got that lucky corruption for the third slot. My rings are also crap. I focused on getting tier 9 physical and cold. That was like the main thing, and then I was missing some cold resistance, so I threw that in there. This was like tier 1 physical, tier 1 cold. The fire damage kind of was there. This thing was kind of there. Cold resistance was like the big thing. Both of these were cheap. I just bought them a couple days ago, and they were probably like 20 exalted each or something. Armor I've had for a while. Aimed for the highest evasion I could get and enough spirit. The resistance just came there. I didn't aim for that. I wanted the dexterity. I wanted it to be higher, but it was out of my budget. Back then, it cost me like 10 exalts. It's probably worth like more now. Not sure. This also recent acquisition. This is where the energy shield kind of started. So you like that, and you also want to have that energy shield here on the amulet. That helps a lot. So anyhow, I just got, again, the highest energy shield I could get, and then some resistances. Chaos was also a big target. This was the item that pushed me over the edge, so it did decrease my sheep DPS compared to the other one that I had. It has a little bit less dexterity, but the cold damage really helped a lot. Shoes, if I could change something, it would be these shoes. I would want them to be corrupted with more another slot. But I would want them to be a full energy shield item now that I have more stats and I can actually put like int stuff. And this could have a better. No, actually, this is a good base. This is an expert. So anyhow, this I would prefer for it to be an expert with like the little sandals that have more energy shield. That would help more than this piece. I don't think that 100 evasion is relevant, and this could have more. Like I could probably hit like 1500 somewhat reasonably within a budget, and so that's, whatever evasion I'm losing here I would get from here, and then some chaos rest. So if we add everything up, this was like 5 div. Maybe this was 1 div. Nowadays it cost me like 70 exalts back then. This was like, let's just say 20 exalts, another 20 exalts. Let's just say this is another div. This cost me like 4 div, if I recall correctly. So we're at what, like around 10 div. This cost me like 50 exalts, and this cost me another like 50 exalts. Potions. These potions are important, I feel like. So I really wanted the instant recovery. Could never find a 30% one here. And then increased charges or reduced charges used are both good. There are some breakpoints there that if people do some math, they can figure that out. But this has saved my butt a lot. And then when I'm doing bosses, this mana instant recovery is also super, super important. I would recommend here going for the most amount of stats you can. That really helps. And then I did high alert. Again, I'm not sure if that's ideal or not, but that's kind of how I played it. If you can get any stats on rings, those are great. But for Ubers and things that have a lot of health, this is pretty much mandatory, the Thief's Torment, because you will run out of mana. Unless you have like god items, like, I don't know, like a 500, 600 DPS bow, then sure, you might not run out of mana. My skills, I don't even have any 6 links yet. 0 6 links, and essentially you'll see how this plays, but essentially I'll show you what I have. Nothing super crazy. Ice Bite helped a lot. It really did help a lot, pushing the build over the edge. Lightning rods. This is probably going to be my next 6 link. Helps a lot with bosses. You can move some stuff around to do more for Ubers. Like I would move probably Primal Armament. I would move it down and maybe take out close combat. I think that would actually be more damage. No, probably about the same. Yeah, on a 6 link, I think you can move that down and make it do more damage. So the tech is Cast on Shock, focusing on Lightning Ball. So you want to have like Cast on Shock level 10, 11. It's going to match the int requirement for Ball Lightning. That's kind of like the first thing you need to hit, that 95 int. And so, more energy retention, and deceleration helps proc a lot. Herald of Thunder, all focused on ice, and then Herald of Ice, all focused on lightning. I do think that this conduction is probably unnecessary. It's better served somewhere else, but I couldn't figure out anything better. As you know, Wind Dancer, you already know this. None of these are mandatory. I just kind of like the combo, and since I have a lot of auras, then I could put the other cool stuff like here. Cannibalism, Clarity. If you had more spirit, I would probably put in Herbalism as well. I only think Clarity is the only one that's kind of necessary. The other one is just kind of cool to have, but as you will see, it's kind of overkill, not very necessary. Ghost Dance, you can go. So Grim Feast. Here's one thing that I kind of messed up on. You can go with a lower one, like maybe like level 12, 10, or 12, and that 133 int will go down, so it will kind of match the cast on shot, like the 95 int you need here. So that's one way to make this work a little bit better. Grim Feast, I guess more levels are nice, but not really necessary. And then Ghost Dance, these two together, they pair up so well, because you will see that my energy shield is going to get like real higher, like it's going to double, and then whenever I get hit, that's going to be replenished. So it's essentially like having triple that energy shield for that first few hits. And then the Orb of Storms is just there to proc the lightning rods. This, the way I have it here, is essentially the first time I use it, it's like a big burst of damage. After I started freezing this, I've been using it less and less, but this was kind of like what I was using to really damage those elites and stuff like that. It felt like without this, they would take a while to die, but also might be related to me not having 6 links and all that jazz. That's for that. Now the passives, I have a very weird setup. So essentially, I did not want to give up this lightning damage. I did not like any of the things that are down here, so I did Path Through the Top again, but this right here did help me a lot. Like this build-up really helped. This was the last change I did, and it really made it like freeze a lot. I also did not want to give up this evasion here, because I am still using acrobatics, as you will see, and I was aiming to get a pierce quiver, which I didn't. But if I did, I would remove these 3, kind of recover those 3 points, and probably look at doing something different with my amulet and put this in manually, or go for movement speed around here. There's some, it gives also dexterity, evasion. I do think the cost is a little steep, like 4 points just to get that. I don't think it's really worth it, but that's another note that I really liked having, and that helped a lot. So I went, the tech with the helmet is that this node, the Subterfuge Mask, is going to give you more evasion with an energy shield base. Even if you have like a crappy one with like 200, 250, it's already going to give you more than like the best like pure evasion helmets. And so this thing was, I wish I would have gotten earlier. That's let me just put it that way. I really wish I would have thought of this earlier. But anyhow, so that's that. And then all of this is just attack speed. You will also notice that I have a lot of int on the tree, because with that amulet I have enough strength for everything I'm using. So that kind of solved that problem. And then int is more damage. This was I thought it was a nice trade-off because I needed exactly 8 dexterity to equip something, and so that gave me 10 more int, which converts to more damage with these, with like the Hand of Wisdom in action. So I thought it was a good trade-off because that's another like 1 to 10 lightning damage that is lucky. So I thought it was good, and it just worked out perfectly. Not, again, another one you could remove. This helped a lot with Herald. So I had these nodes down here that you had in your videos. So these, and they were great, but Heralds are just better. These were like a lot of points versus over here. It was about like 1 point less if I recall correctly, or actually a lot, because I'm going into acrobatics, so I was already here, and so this was 3 points versus down there was like 5 points. And as you see, I am very starved for points. I'm already level 92, so yeah. So I also decided to go through here when I was pathing, because initially I had gone up through here to get stats because they were necessary. But once I changed that amulet, I could path a little bit through here and get more freeze buildup, which again, all of this adds up, and that's really going to be the biggest challenge, is getting that freeze buildup. Okay, so it's kind of like the setup. My jewels are all absolute garbage, so here, see, nothing interesting really. And then wherever the other one is here, it's also kind of shit. So yeah, increased chance of shock, I wouldn't even bother. I shock a lot. So and I don't have any of those legendary ones, which would probably make me move some stuff in the build to accommodate for that. So but yeah, for now, this is what I'm running. And if you see my stats, so I'm at, well, I just removed an evasion node, so I was at 70 without stacks. So once I go and do this bullshit, I'm up to like 75. Been aiming to stay at that, and this 700 energy shield turns into almost 1500 at once you're playing. So I have a random stone here. I'm gonna do I guess one of this irradiated maps are fine. I don't know, let's just do this, whatever. And nothing special on this one. Things to avoid with wastestones. Resistance. Monster resistance is horrible to deal with. And that's pretty much it. Tanky enough that I can do whatever. Yeah, so it does take a second to get started. See how things get frozen. And I didn't even realize that I was an elite, and it just died. It was frozen the whole time, and it just died. Yeah, so that's kind of how it plays, you just. And so now, if you see, my energy shield is already up to almost 1200. And yeah, another elite that just caved in to cold. So in terms of auras, let me show you this, because this is the part that is not as passive. So here, if you notice, I don't have cast on shock. So in bosses, what I'll do is I'll turn this off and this off. I'll turn on cast on shock. I keep all my defensive layers. Again, very spirit intensive. And then the next thing, if it's something that has a lot of HP, then and I need to, so I'll equip this. And as you will see in a second, nothing will break, which was something that I had to solve. So I used to not be able to do this because then my Grim Feast would go out. I didn't have enough strength and int. So I was missing both the strength to run the gem inside, but also the int to actually run this, which kind of sucks. So now I'm thinking about adding persistence here, so that I have another like that lasts longer, and on bosses that helps a lot mitigate some of the mana cost. Yeah, I don't know if we can do. I don't have a boss readily available, but it would have been nice to have a boss to show you like how bad your mana gets drained. But yeah, that's kind of how it plays. It freezes fairly frequently, and that helps with like it's not a defensive layer, but it kind of feels. I won't grab that so you can see the correct experience. But it acts kind of like a defensive layer, so because things just get frozen, and if they're frozen, well, they don't hit you, and they just explode. Breaches are stupid easy. some things are just like, and it plays like very smoothly. As you see, I'm on a controller. It's just, I've just been pressing lightning arrow. I have not used rods, but rods are definitely super important. Another thing to know is when you have a boss, and I'll step out for a second here. When you have a boss, here's kind of how it goes, and I don't have one readily available to show you, which kind of sucks. But here's how it goes, right? I will like precast this stuff, right? Boom, and then I will throw this down there, and then you just spam this because you will start throwing those gas on shocks like a motherfucker. And so you do the mana potion, right? And because you have instant recovery, you can essentially spend those 12 charges pretty much like back to back and keep on spamming the orbs, which is the biggest challenge. When you like start spamming the cast on shock like lightning bolts, mana will go down hard. So that's kind of what that is. I don't know what else I can tell you, but as you can see, I am not super rich. I'm not doing anything super crazy, and this just came online. Like all of this freeze build-up that I grabbed really helped. I had essentially your build, plus like this defensive layer. That's kind of what I had. Your build pretty much to the T, plus this. And maybe like one node less here and there. I think I had this. I actually have this magnitude of shock with my few levels that I had gone up. None of these at the bottom. I had none of those. I had all the way this down here. So that's kind of what I changed. It works pretty nicely. I'm pretty sure like if I get a better quiver, better bow, better rings, it will freeze like 100% of the time. Another thing that I think is very feasible, taking this off or like grabbing it through like levels. So that would be like level 96 at that point. I would then anoint the other freeze buildup that's up here. Drenched, I think is what it's called. Yep, this one. Getting lightning damage is extra cold damage. So I'd probably go with something like that. That's what I can think of. That's another way to do it. But anyhow, yep, this is what I'm thinking of. Pretty sure. So yeah, that's what I would do, and get like another more like cold damage, which would turn into freeze. Yeah. Other ways to scale this would be taking off acrobatics, like removing that, and then scaling the energy shield further. So there's like a helmet you can use for that. That would give me like another 400 or 500. It's a unique one. I can't remember the name right now. But you could use that. You could use a hybrid version here and still have some evasion. You can probably have like 700 evasion on that, plus like some energy shield. So you would still, without having to put in acrobatics, you could probably still have like 75 to 80% evasion, and that could work. With a higher energy shield, you would probably have, instead of a 1300 shield or 1400 shield like I have, when it's all stacked and done, you could probably have like 2500, maybe 3000. So yeah, you would recover less with the let me see, with the ghost dance. You would recover less because you have like a lower amount of evasion, I think. But it would also, like, the number wouldn't be cut with, I'm not sure if how the numbers mathematically would work, but I would think you would recover actually more, now that I think of it, because you wouldn't have the reduction from what's it called, from acrobatics. I don't know if it calculates before or after acrobatics, but yeah, that would be another thing. You would probably still want to get in here though, so it's like just 1 point, so I don't know. That's why I haven't removed it and not gone into that. But yeah, if you have budget, I mean, I would test it out, see what's better. I think this is better, comfier, and I think it gets like a better defensive layer. But if you have more offense, and if you have some like legendary jewels, you might want to come in here and get like the all of these magnitude nodes, and get a whole bunch of, like, you could also have like some stun build up and movement speed and stuff, and so that would also probably help and get you more bonuses, or maybe putting it in here and getting like the bonus through there. So there's definitely a lot of improvement But yeah, this is way longer than I expected. But that's kind of what I have going on. Not expensive. I just have, a higher level than what you probably want to do a guide for. But there's definitely things that you can take off without them being like major detriments, like some of these evasion and stuff like that. And then some of this dex over here. You could probably path differently for this. You could probably just anoint and not get this and go into here and get some more stats in your gear, get that high alert manually, and then anoint that. There's many ways you can go on about it. But anyhow, good luck, man. Hope this helps.